have just adapted to. Like, so big. I'm looking forward to seeing how things are going to play out.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to be jumping on straight into this. MIBR Black Dragons, our third game, a chance here for a team to start to edge a little bit of a lead once again, although not a lot separated these two up until this point. Fairly decisive Oregon for MIBR, given that they started on the defense. I think we can give the benefit of the doubt to Black Dragons for that. They were always going to be starting on that back foot. And this is one of my favorite things about Coast. Look at the bans. A Lion ban and a Zafir ban. It's things you love to see. The Zafir ban's great, by the way, because MIBR are still one of those teams that trot the Zafir out very regularly. Lukid will often be seen playing on it. If it's not Lukid, it'll be Reduct. It's kind of map specific. It's whatever the players are feeling. But that LMG is something that has been relied upon up until this point from MIBR, and that's no longer going to be available.
No, it's gone. So that's certainly a target ban, which we haven't really seen any target bans, I would say, so far today. So certainly one that you have to keep your eye on, and we'll see if that plays a big part. You know, if all of a sudden Ollie that Reduct and Luca, depending who wants to try and take up that role, aren't doing as many big numbers as what they usually do, then we know, yeah, that has paid off massively. 2 information operators gone for the defense, Valkyrie and Echo, both off the board. I always find Echo an interesting one because, especially in Coastline, where do you sit that's safe that you could use the drones?
Yeah, it's not like the map's got a basement that you can just tuck yourself in or a big car garage that you can sort of hide out in. So it's always a bit of an odd one. I think the Echo is a somewhat strange ban. The Valkyrie, it is what it is at this point, isn't it? We're expecting to see a Valkyrie ban. I would have been a bit more comfortable with maybe the Wamai ban again, as we've seen that really affected previously, and maybe leave it down to MIBR to ban away the Valkyrie, but it has been locked in for now. So MIBR are going to be starting things off here on that defender side. Coastline, not a map that leans too heavily one way or another. There are good opportunities for the attackers, I think, but equally, if a defender team is on its A game, they can equally see some successes here. But they're going to be taking us down to double bar to start things off.
Then we go into Blue Barn Sunrise, which is actually the bomb site that we see kind of scared away from a lot of the defense. I think Penthouse and Theater have had, it's had a revolution, hasn't it, Ollie, in the past 6 months. Kitchen still always going to be there, and of course, Suka as the classic bomb site you think of whenever it gets to Coastline. But again, still a defendable bomb site. Don't get anything twisted. It is still viable, still reliable, if you can play it well, of course. Lineup for the attack. Nomad comes in, and this is an operator that I'm surprised it's taken this long to actually see some play inside of this series.
Yeah, MIBR, with how willing they are to get out on the roam, you need to be doing something to control that to some degree. So nice to see that come through now as an option to start to restrict some of that movement somewhat. Sure, there are only a couple of staircases here, but with the ever-present threat the Norix may bring, there are a multitude of opportunities for rotations, and even still, it'll just do something to try and restrict and limit that movement. Reduct. Could this be the redemption that we've been looking for? We've both been really rooting for him to have a good day. We've got no skin in this game. It doesn't matter which team goes through to us. It doesn't matter which team wins. But I like to see certain players doing well, especially if we know that they can perform. And Reduct, well, for being the first blood so many times, he's managed to get it this time. We're seeing Oryx dashing down past Vars, escaping live and just about getting away with his life. That's some significant damage that MIBR have taken, but they also keep taking names off Black Dragon's demo. Second kill now to come in.
MIBR on low HP though, Ollie, have to keep that in mind. A couple of nades could finish them off, and well, there goes Rats. He's gone. Nade gameplay comes in on Coastline, as I'm sure everyone's used to seeing that. The thing about Coastline is, I always feel it's a map, Ollie, where there's nowhere safe to hide. There's always going to be a corner that you're stuck in, and a nade's going to follow after that. Val sees the Habana is outside and trying to deploy those X-Kairos pellets and will be successful with it. Val's, has to be careful, takes a bit of damage for the soft wall. Black Dragons, it's certainly still in the range of being able to win this round, but I still think they need another pick or two before they look for an execute here. And Lukid has gifted himself up There's Patoxy. Seen that opening earlier from the drone work. Reduct, though, with the trade, and now all of it really relies on Fowls to see how well he could hold onto that bomb site, Ollie. And if he plays anything like he has been today, he should have no issue. And oh, look at that swing, the confidence that he has. Basetto left inside of the 1 versus 2. Has to make this challenge happen. Has to clutch up for his team. He knows that one's lurking inside of the courtyard, but where's the rest of them, though, Ollie? Where's it going to go? Reduct Pro knows he doesn't have to move. He's safe. As long as Faz is upstairs, they're in a good position. 20 seconds to go still. Flashbang out. Has the diffuser. Has to try and look for a plant, but he is not sure where he wants to do it. Tucks himself in. Will plant just right in the open of Sunrise. This should be an easy one for Faz, and it will be. Basetto just kind of walking around all like a headless chicken. Never really any indication of where he wanted to go.
No, a tough position for Basetto to be in there, especially with how much confidence MIBR flew out of that round with. I really, really hope that they've just spent that little break between maps 2 and 3 just gassing Reduct up, because if they did, it worked. He came out of the gate swinging, picked himself up an opener, and was still involved in the round up until its dying seconds. It was a good fight back from Black Dragons. They did something to try and control and contrast the ever sprawling defense that MIBR were throwing out there. But I think that's how a lot of these rounds are going to go, honestly, Demo, because you think about MIBR, a team that's willing to get out on the roam, that need to be tamed. This is a map that you can get in and amongst those roamers fairly early. Black Dragons, they're no stranger to moving through a map fairly quickly, but that's what they're going to have to do here to keep on pace, because they can't just afford to be constantly chasing shadows.
Don't go chasing waterfalls, Ollie. That's what you don't want to do.
Should you stick to rivers and lakes?
Exactly. Exactly that. Mira. In she comes. This is, in my mind, always the classic. This Mira and Coastline have been hand in hand since, I mean, they were both released at the same time, so that's probably why you kind of think of both of them at the same time. Obviously, over time, I think Mira has been, kind of seen as, what, it's actually not too difficult. With how verticality's kind of changed, Ollie, with, we're seeing Sledge always be brought into the lineup. You're always seeing teams kind of take above, especially for the kitchen bomb site. Those Mira windows don't play as big of a part. And especially whenever we're kind of gotten away from, you think of different metas, you think of Ying, you think of Glaz, where teams are very rush-orientated, and you see a Mira window and you kind of freeze her if you look at it. She's not as influential as what she used to be.
No, I think the attackers, have got much better kit to further deal
more
with
nades,
that.
I suppose, isn't there?
Yeah, you've got the nades, you've got the ability to go and just smash the mirror windows now a little bit easier.
Yeah, true,
so
that's a good point.
There's multiple things that have sort of assisted with that, and a more thorough understanding of maps. Ever since nades became such a staple and readily available on all the good picks, people have got so good at up nades and so much knowledge about the verticality that those mirror windows really do just start to become less of an issue and more of just a little bit of a problem. But it's still not something that's going to stop a team from making a push, or at least it shouldn't do with how much kit is available. Kills have traded on either side. We've lost Reduct and Live from Black Dragons and MIBR piece. Basetto's going to try and push his way in here to Sunrise. He's going to have a bit of a line of sight onto the objective if he so wishes. Needs to be cautious of Fleepox. Can rotate at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, you see that the kitchen and how it's kind of changed, Ollie. You don't really defend kitchen by playing inside kitchen anymore. Now that sounds a little bit weird, but because there's so much destructibility from above, the defenders are always going to be at disadvantage, and you're at a disadvantage if you're against Raps with the MB5K, because what a shot he's just picked out of his back pocket. But this is kind of what you're used to. With how Raps has been playing that's how the defense like to play kitchen. You don't play in the kitchen. You play these long angles. You try and hold lobby for as long as you can. And if you have lobby, you have bathroom. And if you have bathroom, well, nobody can really plant in many instances. So I think MIBR are just playing the meta to the best of its ability, and Black Dragons, unfortunately, they're suffering because of that. Raps, like I said, as safe as can be, as long as lobby is in control. He's never going to be, worrying about anything apart from the guys pushing directly into the bomb site.
3 kills on the round for Raps as well.
Mm-hmm.
Barely moved his feet for the majority of them either. So certainly goes to show the power of the position, and I think the desperate spot that Black Dragons found themselves in. You know, Bassetto pushing in so deep there. It looked like a bit of a last-ditch attempt at trying to salvage something on a round, and without clear knowledge of really what was waiting for them on the other side. Just only a couple of pixels changing color there, but that's all it takes for Raps to see that advantage. Toxie, slow and steady, did not win the race on that challenge. MIBR chain 2 together, take us upstairs to everyone's favorite, Penthouse and Theater.
Locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
I like this bomb site a lot. Big fan favorite, I think, since kind of Coastline got those changes, Ollie. And the reason being is, honestly, one simple change. You replace a double window, you replace a barricade window inside of VIP, and you put in 2 soft walls, and the world of a difference it makes is unbelievable. Just that one change, it allows the chance of bandit tricks, Kai tricks, you name the lot, mute jammers, everything. It just stops that crucial room being VIP. It actually lets the defenders be able to defend it. You know, you can't defend against a double window. That's impossible. Everyone knows that. Some of the worst bomb sites in the game are ones that have a big, massive double window. You even think of Hookah, for example, that double window. We've seen teams just absolutely rinse one another off that one specific positioning. And I think back in old Coastline, this was no different. Penthouse and Theater was, at one point, the kind of go-to bomb site. Hookah wasn't actually the go-to, surprisingly, whenever it was first released. But as time kind of developed, VIP, you just couldn't hold it. And if you don't have VIP, you can't actually hold the bomb site. Because guess what, Ollie? There's a double window on one of the bomb sites, and that doesn't help at all. And you need VIP if you want to defend a double window on the actual bedroom bomb site. So, yeah, it's all about the VIP control. That's what you need to hold on to if you're a defender.
And because of that, it means that a popular point of attack for the attackers is going to be getting in through kitchen.
Yep.
All very symbiotic here, as Perez is going to be first on through, hopping himself through that kitchen door, or just at least opening up the window, should I say. He's going to search out for the electricity and see if there's anything that he can do about that. He's, of course, got Ash's launcher, which could provide the tools required. Failing that, you're going to want to try and get somebody with nades through, but there are some difficult locations that electrical can be placed, so sometimes it does cause for a little bit more of a direct approach. The barricade being open for him, Perez is looking at making a bit of a challenge here. It could be Ion to pick up the first from where else, Demo, but that double window.
Perez, I was looking at him thinking, oh, is this going to be a bit of an ego challenge, Ollie? Not actually going to go below. They're just going to try and swing onto the guide, which is very risky, but thankfully, for Perez, he doesn't actually have to take that risk. That double window, like I mentioned, can just control that entire bomb site. And this is a great start for Black Dragons. They have this 2-man advantage. I would say that, oh yeah, they're in great shape to actually go ahead and take this round quite convincingly, but we know MIBR, they love a 3 versus 5, and very regularly they will win that. Somehow, we've been able to see a retake of the mirror window. Raps has slipped his way in. Oh, downstairs. Oh, that air jab hit both of them. Mira runs in at the right moment to also catch the Nomad, and she'll win that engagement. You'll never see anything like that. That is a 1 in a million. Philippox even with a C4. MIBR, they love a 3 versus 5 because now it's a 3 versus 2 in their favor.
Perez caught on the 90s, got players challenging him on both fronts, finds a down and confirms onto Raps, leveling it out at 2 men alive apiece. Luka, though, is going to eventually put an end to him, and Philippox swings on through, takes eye. There's no other gun that you'd rather have in that situation, save maybe an SMG-11 or a shotgun, but
shotgun, yeah.
Poor Patoxy, he didn't even look like he knew what was going on at that point, did he?
Unlucky. Unlucky for them. And again, MIBR, I suppose this is why we can kind of see some of those rounds on Clubhouse where we just thought, oh, they're just throwing themselves at the opponents. But in reality, if we actually look at how that round was played, they're throwing themselves at because they know they have to do that. Because them just sitting back, Ollie, they're going to lose that round indefinitely. They have to take those risks. And I suppose it is a 50-50 because they either end up with some of the rounds where we're sitting there thinking, what are they doing? Or they end up with some of the rounds that we sit and we say, wow, what a 3 versus 5, what a comeback from MIBR. So that's just how they play the game. If things don't work out for them, they have that mentality of, okay, it's either we just throw themselves and we win the engagements, or we don't. We maybe win the round, or we lose it anyway. So no, I suppose there isn't really a risk factor in how they're playing it. Either win or you don't.
well, especially when the site's penthouse and theatre, because where have you got that's safe to sit? There just isn't anywhere. You can't sit and find a corner of the site and try and dig in and hold an angle, because the site had already been overrun at that point. They'd already lost a lot of that control. So it pays to play a little bit more aggro at that point. Raps has seen a chunk load of damage there, as he maybe is going to think better of just hanging around inside of Sunrise, and is going to get himself to the relative safety of the shield that faces that hook door. Time being, at least, it's a small advantage to Black Dragons. They're not feeling too confident, though, and I think hence the timeout. It's being taken fairly early there at the start of round number 4. They need a clear idea of how they want to try and approach this, because they are going to very quickly let this one slip away with them, pretty similarly to the way that Oregon slipped away.
MIBR, whenever they're in the lead, Ollie, the momentum that they can gain, it's terrifying, and that's a great feature that this team has, is they can just create these massive snowballs. You know, I think we've seen already today, Ollie, they put up some big numbers, don't they? You know, you think of earlier against the Cave, a 6-0 half, for goodness sake, Ollie. This team, whenever they have the wind at their sails, who's going to stop them? It's terrifying. I would want to play against them.
They've had an awesome day, haven't they? You think about that 6-0 half, and then the 5-1 half that they had just on Oregon. They're no strangers to chaining rounds together, and if things are going well for them, then things really are gonna go well. And as you say, that snowball effect then starts to come into a factor as well. Felipox even looking for a little bit of run-out action there. Not sure if it is going to be on the cards, but he's going to go for it anyway. Is he going to find the player? No, yet another air jab, and this time no mistakes. Patoxy is there to capitalize, and that is a good example of MIBR just throwing bodies at a problem. They've lost a couple of kills opening, and Felipox goes, you know what the best thing to do here is? To take a really long extended run out and essentially leave Lukid in the clutches. Perez to pick up the pieces. Black Dragons, that one means a lot for them. They get themselves onto the board.
That's it for Black Dragons, the first round that they need, and well, it's definitely one that needed to come at this stage. You need to try and quell that momentum that MIBR were starting to build up. So that's just kind of crossing over now into MIBR, where they have to think about, okay, are we going to go for that same strategy again? Is that really, you know, the best thing we can do? Because like we mentioned about their strategy, Ollie, it's either it works or it doesn't. It is literally go big or go home. And it's not reliable. We know it's not reliable. And you know, the kind of stars have to align to play that play style, because it's not consistency. I say that. They have been consistent today, but I don't know if I'm that convinced on it. You know?
I'm not fully sold that if they'd have played exactly this way on a different day, they would have got the same result.
And against a different team as well. Like, keep in mind, we're still dealing with MIBR and Black Dragons. Black Dragons are not the highest rated, you know, team inside of Brazil. Let's say if MIBR make it through to Invite, you're going up the likes of Damwon Kia, Navi, Oxygen, and Team 1. You know, Team 1, for goodness sake. You think about how they can punish teams who do those kind of reckless play styles. So against a better side, Ollie, they will struggle going for that same mentality.
They really will. The biggest unknown at this point is we don't really know what to expect from MIBR, just given that they haven't had a solid year. They've not got another solid year under the belt, and they're now looking at taking on more international competition with that experience. They're looking at this from very much a point of, this is probably the strongest that we've seen them in a long time, but even still, we don't know what that entirely looks like. We don't really know how they stack up, just because of the sort of turbulent past 12 months that they've had. So it's good to see them, you know, coming out and winning rounds and getting kills, but there does just seem to be that lack of discipline that is underlying and running through everything that they do at the minute. And, you know, if that's a couple of opening picks that don't go in their favor and then they just start running at people, that isn't going to last for long when and if they get themselves through to the group stage.
Good kid on this Oryx. He does love this operator. Perez is just a lot of bullets, Ollie. I am very surprised that he's standing right now, and I'm sure Luke has probably thought the same. Perez doesn't know how lucky he is. That's something you don't see every day. But still takes a lot of damage, and now he has to be wary with that HP. Luke even tries to challenge even more so, and what's just happened here? Basetto just slipped into Hookah, got a freebie, and walked right back out. MIBR has let that one slip, and Luke somehow goes unnoticed. Surely they would have known he's in and around this area. Finds who finally he gets Perez, but Live just walks in with no information at all. That seems strange to me.
I mean, Luke hasn't moved since he's taken that initial challenge onto Perez, so he really should have been known there. Just gifted 2 kills back and leveled things up once again, 3-3. MIBR, no stranger from fighting from behind, but this time they are level, while they can still have the players running through the cameras and seeing if they can bring a little bit of clarity to a somewhat mudded situation. Still going to be going up against this all square. Minute remaining. Basetto looking to make an entrance in now through office. Does have the diffuser in hand, but at this point, that's almost just a token gesture, right? We've not seen a lot of intention to get a plant down or even a lot of opportunity so far this game. Toxie does have a bit of information there on the drone to work with, but Felipox will be allowed back out. Lukin strikes yet again as he takes Basetto down. With it, the hard breach, and with it, the kit. Going to be cold on the ground. 25 seconds now remain, and Lukin, it's a masterclass demo. That's all it is. A quadra kill. He's barely moved out of billiards. Is he going to find the ace? That's the question at this point. BLK, I believe, is the only other player to see an ace inside of these whole qualifiers. Everybody now knows exactly where he is. Lukin swings the corner and secures his reward. Picks up the ace, and very well deserved.
He's gotten away with absolute murder. Should never, ever be allowed to do what he's just done. He moved between 2 rooms, Ollie. Into billiards, into Aqua. He started off in Aqua, moved into billiards, sat in billiards for a while, moved back into Aqua. Didn't really, you know, as an Oryx, it's probably the Oryx that has taken the least steps that you'll ever see. Because he didn't move, he just sat in a corner the whole time. You have to wonder, where's the drones? Where's the refrags? Where's everything from Black Dragons? They just stopped working.
It's scary when you start to think about the amount of ways that they could have actually removed him from there, whether it be by, you know, working from the roof and opening up the quad wall, opening up the big window, coming in through hookah. There's just so many different ways that they could have chosen to deal with him. And, you know, I mean, 2 people there got caught just in the kill cam that we saw alone, just caught looking the wrong way. You're not dealing up with a Cavi or a Vigil or someone that can go invisible. Like, you're dealing with an Oryx. Like, he's a heavy, chunky operator. You need to be able to come away with that. So, yeah, just wild.
4-1. Final defense now for MIBR. That Mira comes in once again. It's going to be great for holding on to that lobby. Like I mentioned last time we seen this defense, Ollie, a lot of teams just trying to hold in towards lobby, have those long angles. I think Raps did a fantastic job last time just playing those positions, using those long range of sights that you have. And I think the biggest thing with Coastline, especially whenever you think about that kitchen with how defenders hold it, is as an attacker, it's quite a daunting task, isn't it? You're walking into 1,000,001 different crossfires and you don't know specifically who's holding what. Already, that's going to be tricky. You really need to gel as a complete unit. Typically for kitchen, just these little solo plays, they're not the greatest. They don't work too well because, like I said, there's 1,000,001 ways that you have to kind of look. So having teammates with you, knowing that you're there for the refrags, it helps a lot.
4 rounds to 1 for MIBR here. Ion already has seen a little bit of an engagement there as we do have our first blood of Felipox. Blue Kid. New operator, new masterclass. I am ready to see it. This time on the Legion. Redux will be taken out there by Patoxy, but we all know, Demo, that this is where MIBR thrive. Well, maybe not this time. Perez wasn't taking any chances. Only gave Lukin a pixel to peek onto, and it was not enough. From the rappel, he will shut him down. Raps now trying to just gain anything that he can, and it will be a kill onto the diffuser Carius. That's diffuser cold inside of Sunrise. There are so many other angles to take a look at. Valz is allowed to pick up Perez. Perez just gets caught flat-footed there on those white stairs. Maybe it's changed, Demo. Maybe it's not 3 versus 5s that MIBR love. Maybe it's 2 versus 5s, because this one is slowly slipping away.
It's a good drone, though. Raps will get spotted out, so they know that he's trying something in towards lobby. Black Dragons have so much time, Ollie. I think if you're Black Dragons, you're probably just looking for a kitchen window plant. That's going to be the most successful way to do that. If Live just rotates over and jumps in the window, it's a bit of a blind spot. Nobody can really challenge onto that. You know, Raps has to get really close to that corridor to try and secure that diffuser as it gets jumped in through that window. Black Dragons at the moment, just looking for their picks. Live tosses in some nades deep and fast. Oh, he will find him. This is the issue. Whenever you try and force your way through that doorway, you're moving into a crossfire. One being held by Fouls and the other one still being held by Raps. I think Kitchen Window was by far the better play for them, and they're going to suffer for it. They're challenging on these long angles. They're playing into this MIBR defense. They're ready for this. This is their game plan. You sit back, you hold these long angles, and you let the attackers beat themselves.
It's going to get more tense now as Ion actually does push on through, but immediately into the waiting arms of Fouls. Demo, I think it's time to change it. Gone are the days of the 3 versus 5. It's all about the 2v5 now for MIBR.
It shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't, and this is where you've got to question Black Dragons. They ultimately letting that, you know, really get away from themselves. They need to get on top of losing when they've got that significant advantage. And as the rounds progress and as the series develops, it becomes more a confidence thing, I think. And they so much is on the line for them that they're just scared to make the play.
Mm-hmm. I think Kitchen Window was free there. Absolutely free. And keep in mind, you have that man advantage. Like, you have that extra player. Black Dragons, not looking good for them. 5-1. Coastline, by the way, attacker-sided, fun fact.
Yeah, not the position that you want to find yourself in, is it? Losing the majority of your attacker rounds and coming into that defensive side. I mean, it's a carbon copy of what we saw in Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. And I suppose this is where then we kind of get into scenarios, Ollie, where we're sat here wondering how long is it going to take for Black Dragons to mess up on, you know, a third bomb site pick, which is ultimately what kind of done them in Oregon.
And the thing is, the third bomb site pick, it holds a lot less weight here on this map. There's not very many maps that you can say that have got kind of equally as good sites, and I think that Coastline's one of them. And it's not that they're all equally as good; it's that they're all equally flawed.
Yeah, they're mediocre at best, aren't they? Like, fundamentally, compared to like Clubhouse or Oregon, which are the more defender side, or even Cafe, for example. Yeah, it has flaws, like you mentioned, and eventually something's gonna have to crack.
Well, will it be in this round that we see MIBR take us on to a match point? I mean, it seems premature, Demo, but it's almost worth mentioning that Villa is our next map in the series, and we've already seen MIBR on Villa today, and they look scary.
Oh, we have indeed. It's terrifying, that team. A 6-0 defensive half in Villa doesn't happen, yet somehow they've done it. And certainly if they have the confidence of winning Coastline, momentum and on that end from MIBR winning 2 maps in a row, moving on to potentially the final one for them in that evening, then yeah, it could get very difficult for Black Dragons indeed. So this is what you'll find for a lot of the attackers in terms of attacking hookah. You just kind of sat about in the rooftop, Ollie. You know, rooftop is still an area that you need to watch out for if you're defense. Those corridors can be pinched very easily from just one guy sitting upstairs, even the bottom floor corridors. Remember, if you're trying to move perhaps like on the kitchen corridor, somebody can catch you out from the rooftop. It is difficult, and you need to be ready for that. Black Dragons seem as if they are. They're happy enough to sit in the bomb site. Much more of a turtle strategy. Only issue with going a little bit turtle for the hookah is it's a very claustrophobic bomb site. Well, at least that's how I feel whenever I look at it, is you're basically sat in a corner and you cannot move. And whenever there's actually a gadget, it's called a grenade in this game, actually explodes.
Oh, yeah.
And actually insta-kills you. So if you're sat in a corner and they know exactly where you are, you're dead. And there's nothing there's no counterplay. You're dead. That's it.
There doesn't seem to be enough on the fringes of the site, does there? There's not enough resistance there. And MIBR are going to really quite quickly sniff that out. Bleepox gets himself into Aquarium. He's got the backing of his team with him as well. Toxic Babe canisters being expended now at around the 35-second mark, so chance really to pace them out quite nicely here from Bassetto. He's still got 2 in pocket that he can look to work with. Kills are going to continue to come on in as Ion takes fouls down. Blue Kid likely going to be the next to fall, and he will. Perez, he's going to secure Raps with the gun, and all leaves Fleapox in the clutches.
15 seconds
Could be a very, very much needed round here for Black Dragons, but Fleapox is still going to have something to say. 10 seconds, picks himself one, can't find the second. Live, takes the initiative and hits the swing nice and fast. Just catches Fleapox out as he was switching from primary to secondary. Black Dragons fine, so that they can continue on with the game. Straight back into things here. MIBR 5 rounds to 2, still in a very commanding position here. But how long will it last for? Black Dragons, it seems a shame to see them fighting up from the back foot again so quickly into the game. We're only 8 rounds into this. It quite easily could be a 4-4, nice and square, and you know there's nothing really to be said between the two, but it's just got hella Oregon vibes, and getting a real flashback there to how MIBR just really started to run away with things there. And as you say, Demo, it all comes down to these tertiary sites. We're not quite on them yet. Gone into kitchen this time, but it's ever looming, isn't it? You just know it's only 1 round away.
Ever looming. Ever looming. MIBR still have a good couple of rounds, just kind of safety net, isn't it? They've still got a 3-round difference between them and Black Dragons, and I think Black Dragons at the moment, they do feel quite happy with being able to win that first round, but that does mean that Hook is going to be locked out for them. They have to switch up into bomb sites. It's going to be the kitchen site now. I wonder if Black Dragons are going to adopt that same strategy where you don't sit in the site. You try and get out and about. You really take it to the attackers. You don't give them that control. And I think Coastline, whenever we talk about kitchen, you know, the verticality is something that you always have to respect. The attackers can go for it. It's very easy. Whenever you're dealing with a bomb site, that every angle, every nook and cranny can be opened up. It's not the easiest to defend it. It certainly isn't. So you have to not allow the attackers upstairs. You just can't say, oh, just go on ahead. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can sledge, you can buff, do whatever you want. We don't really need that. In reality, you do. You need to say no.
Fouls. Just going to be trying to place out a couple of air jabs there. Reduct is getting himself into a little bit of an engagement. It's a much slower and more considered round from MIBR. Not looking to get themselves into any unnecessary engagements. Instead, carefully trying to pinch these players. You know that there's going to be somebody at the top of Cool Vibe stairs. Ion going to give the game away ever so slightly, just firing out that Roni. It's going to give an indication as to who it may be. Reduct up on the 90 corridor as well. Does seem to be a somewhat lack of info as players are just sort of blind checking these corners. And a couple of drones remaining, so maybe not as many as they would have wished, but Redux finally can get himself into VIP and start to open up this floor. There's a lot of it to do in only 50 seconds, and if he's actually going to be able to sit here and affect onto these angles that he's opening, only time will tell.
Redux has to make that sledgehammer work to the best of its ability. He will do so. Lukid finds a pick, so looking to be a delivery plan only. That's where they're looking to stem their attack from, and they need lobby control to do that, though. That's the only issue with this strategy, is you need to take an extra step. Raps finds another, and little by little, Black Dragons are starting to fall, and oh yes, they are, Ollie. Now 5 versus 2. Raps with a double kill inside of the round. Ion and Epoxy, both of them stacked up inside a kitchen. That information will be fed to the players holding above. Surely Ion cannot last as long as what he's doing right now, and he will be downed in the process. Epoxy, oh, 2 of them line up, and he will down 2 of them. 7 seconds to go. They need to get the kill, and Luke Kid is there to clean it up. Oh, almost, Ollie. Whenever you see a diffuser cold on the ground at 5 seconds to go, there's always that shimmer of hope, perhaps, for the defense.
Well, well, well. What a difficult old round to face up against Black Dragons. Where do they go from here? Things really just going from bad to worse inside of the series. They came out so strong on club, and then Oregon things slipped, and we wondered if it was a blip. But now we got ourselves onto Coastline, a map that Black Dragons, they haven't lost it in 5 months demo. Gone back to include the entirety of stage 3 in that, I believe. So this wasn't a game, well, this wasn't a result that we were expecting really for this map. You know, we saw the map pool and we thought, well, this really could go all the way if we go back and forward and trade off one another's map picks. You know, Black Dragons come in here and have a good coastline. MIBR, we know they've got a great villa. This could have all 5 ridden all over it. And yet we find ourselves on match point again, a scoreline of 6-2. MIBR firmly in the driver's seat of this entire series.
Are indeed. 1 round, that's all they need. 1 round for MIBR. Black Dragons not looking too good for them. I mean, right now for MIBR, they've done a lot of the heavy lifting on defense. That's for sure, and just have to clean things up in the attack. Which, I mean, they did that. You know, it was a solid attack from MIBR. Need more of the same. It will be onto a different bomb site. Move over towards that Blue Barn Sunrise, and maybe a temperamental bomb site, keep in mind. Still, similar to Kitchen, has the verticality. You can still really use and abuse the sledgehammer. You can open up a lot of the Sunrise, the entirety of Blue Bar. Nobody can really sit safe. And the difference is, I think, for Kitchen is whenever that vertical action starts coming in from the attackers, I don't feel as if there's any position that's safe that you can fall back into. Like, obviously, lobby, you know, if the verticality starts happening, you can just fall back into the lobby. Nice big open room, plenty of areas to sit behind. For Sunrise and Blue Bar, you don't really get that.
Passetto, bit of a switch up onto the Alibi. See if he can make anything happen on that MX4. Black Dragons certainly still look hungry for it. Opening kill. Onto who other than Reduct. If there's anything that Black Dragons can take away from it, is that their opening kill onto Reduct has been a very successful statistic so far, but that's really doesn't paint the whole picture, especially when you've got such clutch factor in the remaining players that are alive. Raps, look at the patience. It's going to pay off. He's going to deal a chunk load of damage in onto Ion. Philippox now trying to join in on that party and ensure that nobody can make that rotation out of there. Raps instead maybe going to send in the shock drone to finish off Ion, as I'm sure 1 zap would do it. Fouls, placing a couple of air jabs down as well as Perez takes Luke down. Now we're in a danger zone. This is MIBR's time, 3 versus 5. Already some chip damage done. Wouldn't take much to finish off Ion and then further go on to pick up another couple, but they are being pressured and pinched. Fouls is in a pretty impossible position here inside of security. Being pressured from not only main lobby, but also from office as well. He is somehow going to fight his way out of that as his teammates provide great distraction, but they also lose their lives in process. Fouls picks 1 before being left in the 1 versus 4, where in 45 seconds, can we really expect him to find the remaining players? Black Dragon is just going to dig a little bit deeper and sit a little bit further back until Patoxy comes through with an aggressive swing saying, thank you, I'm going to take this one and just show our confidence brimming.
Yeah, shut out there from Black Dragons. Good control throughout the entirety of that round, but we need more of that. We need a lot more rounds from Black Dragons if they want to keep their heads in this game. 3 rounds is what stands between them and overtime. Only 1 round for MIBR. That's all they need. That singular round. Here we go. Moving in now. It looks as if actually maybe a tactical timeout perhaps, or straight into it. A lot of talking there for MIBR. I'm sure that's what they need. They cannot let this one slip, Ollie, because they've been in the commanding position for nearly all the game.
Well, all the game and nearly all the series so far as we get toward the latter end here on Coastline. This is well and truly more than halfway through, and MIBR have been in the driver's seat for a lot of it. 1 more round is all it would take to send us catapulting into Villa. And Black Dragons have been able to come up with a couple of rounds so far to stop that from being a reality. However, is it going to be that straightforward? Last time when we saw this, MIBR didn't come up against a lot of resistance at all. There was not really too much going on inside of Aquarium. It was fairly free to just sort of stroll on through for MIBR. So I'd like to see maybe a little bit more invested over in that direction. But when you're not going to bring in a Rooney and you're not going to bring Lasergate and things like that, or a Malusi Banshee, well, you got the Malusi Banshees, I guess, on Perez, but the Lasergates are really something that I look toward to stop a lot of that throwable utility coming on through. Sure, we've got Patoxy on the Wamai, but it's nice to have the Aruni as well, because if you do leave Aqua so free, a team like MIBR, they're not going to waste any time by just getting themselves in there and taking it for their own.
Moving in. We'll see how MIBR can deal with this old nemesis over towards this hookah. It was, again, that one-dimensional take that I kind of mentioned, Ollie. I want to see something else from MIBR. I want to see another avenue. Just also, you know, keep going with the Aqua, but you need to find another pathway and try and flood people also through that. Looking to maybe move up in towards DJ deck and in towards VIP, perhaps. So they may be looking to kind of create that split in the bomb sites by opening up that VIP wall. I think that's what they're going to go for, which definitely be, you know, a good adaptation with how Black Dragon's kind of set up. But Black Dragons are also kind of invested in below Ollie. You know, I think we've seen Ion downstairs for, I think, the entire round, and you can't exactly pull off a successful plant if you know a C4 is lurking underneath.
Throwable starting to come in now. Luca going to deal with the shield that's placed inside of Hookah. Just jumps into the drones, gather any info that could be of use. Ion has caught a couple of Mozzie drones as well that he can start to reposition. Fowls is on the hunt. He's picked himself out a freebie, and will it be collected downstairs is the question. Toxie going to be the player in question. Fowls still going to be able to call that out. It's at least a body that you know the location of, but he's going to have to try and back himself up here and see if he can go for the kill. Fleetbox, of course, manning the drone to see if he can guide his teammates in the right direction, but as the rotation comes up those cool vibe stairs, the opportunity has likely passed. Now, an alternate approach is going to be required. The diffuser cold on the ground, likely where Fleetbox's body fell. 45 seconds, there's still plenty of time to recover that and start to think about maybe getting the plant down. As Raps is going to do just exactly that. Chooses to jump himself up onto said rappel. As Luke is going to start trying to burn out and bait out those Toxic Babe canisters as they come through. But Black Dragons are holding firm here. They're going to pick up a second. The C4 rings on in. Raps shuts Perez down. 22 seconds left. Don't forget, Raps, the player on the rappel, holds the diffuser, and he's not likely going to be able to hop his way through. Lukic shuts Bassetto. The jump in is coming in now, but Patoxy in the corner picks one and the second. Where's the intel? Where is the knowledge? Nobody knew that he was there. An aggressive run out from Patoxy to try and secure the quad. With 3 seconds left, it is unlikely to really result in anything. Screams and cheers all around for Black Dragons as they yet again face off against that match point and come up with one.
To lose this matchup, all you need is one round, Ollie. And I suppose the good news is they now get to go to either the penthouse attack or I think is it the kitchen or is it the blue bar? Oh, it's the kitchen. Okay, yeah. So I suppose this is probably their best chance at finishing it here is going to be that kitchen attack.
Yeah, MIBR need to really buckle up their ideas and see if they can come away with something here. We don't want to see any solo pushes. We don't want to see any big hero plays. It just needs to be a solid, cohesive round of Siege. Let's focus maybe on getting that plant down because it's something that they have got in the back of their mind, but you can just see that it's not always, the pieces aren't always in the right place. You could maybe question Raps for picking up the diffuser and then going on the rappel. If he hadn't done that, he wouldn't have needed to rotate on in. Maybe Luke Kid gets traded then by Raps from Patoxy, or at least Patoxy doesn't fall and they can then work a plan out to deal with the Wamai in the corner. There's a lot of if, buts and maybes that you could re-look at going through that round. But for the time being, another opportunity to convert this into a map point and advance on through the series, taking us on to Villa. Black Dragons not rolling over though. They're not going down without a significant fight. And they're only 2 rounds away themselves from leveling this up and taking us into an OT where realistically, at that point, anything can happen. We've seen how fragile the mental is on the side of MIBR, how willing they are just to throw bodies and reset if a round doesn't go their way in the first opening minute or so. it really is a sort of flip a coin and see what you get. You either get a team that can 3 versus 5 every day of the week, or you get a team that just want to get themselves onto the next round and see if they can convert that one instead.
Ready to move in. Still a match point for MIBR. Let's see what they're going to try and spot out. Good information, being able to say, okay, they have the smoke still on the bomb site. That's going to cause some issues in the late stages. That I'm sure you can count on that. Looks as if they're going to set up, again, for this kind of delivery plant. Last time they relied on somebody being above, being able to get in with a sledgehammer, rip up everything and anything that they could. There will be pressure being applied for Black Dragons. They're not going to give it as free as what MIBR did the last time. And maybe MIBR thinking of a rush. Like, I mean, the way they're kind of setting up, they're all kind of lurking around windows and doorways, and maybe the call will come in, just go, and then everyone just kind of floods in. But it looks as if they're just kind of trying to play for picks and see if Black Dragons get a little bit impatient, start fidgeting and trying moving into different areas that they just should not be in and giving themselves away. So that's the kind of game plan for MIBR. Just find out as much information as they can.
MIBR and waiting 45 seconds to really make anything happen is a consistent theme that we've seen over the course of the last couple of rounds. Another consistent one is Reduct being opening death. Taken down here 2-9 so far in the series. He's not providing that same level of value that we saw out of him earlier on in the day in the kill department. Instead, that is being picked up by the rest of the team, at least the slack that is remaining. Lukin going to get himself into an engagement here and does have the reactions for the shots onto Perez. That's backed up with a kill onto Live as well. So surely a site take is going to be on here as more bodies tend to fall. Lukin shuts Patoxy down, and Basetto and Ion, well, 20 seconds isn't a lot of time, and they've got a whole world of hurts headed in their direction. Final kill will come in here for Raps. MIBR, it looked as though it wasn't going to happen for a time, but finally, Demo, they close things out there on Coastline. They take the lead in this series, 2-1.
Yeah, good confidence to pull it back there for MIBR. It wasn't looking good for them, but still being able to win out that map. One map away.